All right, back with you. San Diego sports leader. It is the Mighty 1090. It's homecoming week for the San Diego State Aztecs. Interesting, they get basketball Friday, football Saturday, 7:30. Aztecs were just white hot heading into their bye. They will host the Wyoming Cowboys, which is not an impressive-looking team if you just look at the standings. I'm sure Rocky Long will tell us why they are a threat upcoming this Saturday. But off the bye, it is our pleasure, as we do on a week-in, week-out basis, to say hello to the head coach of the Aztecs. He is Rocky Long. Coach, good to talk to you. Thank you very much for the time.
My pleasure, Darren. Thanks for having me on.
How did you enjoy your bye week?
Well, I enjoyed it with football. Went to a high school football game on Friday night. Really enjoyed that. Great crowd. Both teams played really good. It was really a fun atmosphere. And then Saturday I sat there and watched college football all day long, which is pleasurable to me anyway.
Well, let me ask about Friday night, because you mentioned you had the opportunity to go out. What high school football game did you go to?
I went and watched Mission Hills versus San Marcos.
Okay, now was this recruiting, or was this, hey, for Friday night, I want to go, I want to sit in the stands, I want to just be here and appreciate the environment?
It was both. Now it was for recruiting, because both those teams have good players that we're interested in. And I would have gone to probably a game anyway if I wasn't asked to go to that one by a recruiting coordinator, but I would have probably gone to one anyway, because I love high school football, and Friday nights when high school football is supposed to be played.
I like it. All right, so you picked that game there. How often do you get to a high school football game? You got a busy schedule here. You guys got a coach on Saturdays. How often do you find yourself out here locally at a high school game?
Very, very, very seldom, because if we play on a Thursday night, which we haven't done in a long time, we would go out on Friday and on Saturday. If we have a bye week, every time we have a bye week, we go out and watch games on Friday night of the bye week. So not very often. We only get one bye a year, and we haven't played a Thursday night game in a long time.
So how do you see that? Surprises some people, because the life of a college football coach is probably not what everybody imagines it to be. So if you don't get those opportunities based on your schedule, I mean, how important is it then to have the recruiting coordinator go out there and map it all out for you?
Well, every chance we get, our assistant coaches go out and the recruiting coordinator goes out. But with the access to video now, I mean, I can get on computer and type a kid's name in the high school and watch a highlight tape on anybody that is a possible recruit. So that's made it much, much easier, but it's not near as much fun as going out to the games.
And then you said you watched college football on Saturday. Any games in particular that you found yourself watching? When I look at the schedule on Saturday, I, like a lot of other people, I look for the top 25 matchups. I was into Notre Dame Pitt. I was into Alabama LSU. What did you watch on Saturday?
Well, I watch all of our teams that are in our league. I watch all of them play. I might not watch the whole game, but I flip back and forth. I watched the Alabama LSU game because I wanted to see how good they are, because everybody thinks they're unbelievable. And then I watched the non-Power 5 teams that are supposed to be really, really good. So I watched a lot of the Memphis Navy game. I watched the Houston game. I watched some of the Temple game. So I kind of stay within our own realm, watch the teams that we play against, and watch teams like us.
How wide is the gap? You mentioned you watched Alabama LSU because you wanted to see how good they were. How wide is the gap, that level to the level you just talked about there, the group of 5 teams?
Well, the group of 5, if you take the top teams in the group of 5, there's not a huge difference, but there's a big difference as you move up and move down. The biggest difference is what I saw is when you look at an LSU or an Alabama, the defensive linemen they're playing with. I mean, they're playing with guys that are 6'4", 6'5", 300 pounds that can run. There's very few of those guys in the world, and most of them end up in a Power 5 team. Most of those guys that I saw at Alabama, they had 4 guys up there that are unbelievable. Those guys will end up in the NFL. And in football, if you win the line of scrimmage, you win. I mean, that's simple as that. If it's a stalemate at the line of scrimmage, now the skill guys come into effect. Now, the skill players, when you talk about running backs, receivers, defensive backs, I don't think there's any difference whatsoever. And then hopefully you'd have a good quarterback, and that could be at any school too.
It's so interesting because it's true, right? Whether it's the level that you guys play at, whether it's the level that Alabama LSU plays at, or whether it's the pro ranks, right? I mean, it's the same thing. You win a line of scrimmage, you're probably going to be successful.
Well, that's why those guys are so important. Defensive linemen and offensive tackles are so important to any success that you might have.
All right, we're talking to Rocky Long. San Diego State's playing Wyoming upcoming. It is homecoming night. Rocky, for you as the head coach, you're preparing for the Cowboys here. But what's a homecoming weekend, if you could? You've been around college football a long time. What does it mean from a coach's perspective?
Well, I think that for a head coach, it means there's a lot of alumni back, especially alumni players that played here, and they all have a interest in the program. They all have a stake in the program because they sweated through it when they were here too, and they have a real want that you be good. So you get to see a lot more of them. You get to hang around with a lot more of those kind. I think the homecoming deal where a lot of alumni come back, I think that's faded a little bit, but not too much, and I'm not sure it means anything different to the players that are playing.
5 straight for you guys heading into the bye. We discussed this last week. I think part of the incentive heading into this weekend, obviously, is to continue the momentum here, angle yourself closer to the Mountain West Conference Championship game, whether it's home or whether it's on the road. But also, you could become bowl eligible this week. I wonder what sort of carrot that is for you to dangle in front of your players.
Well, obviously, our players know that we have to win one more game to be bowl eligible. I think that's one of their goals. To win the conference championship is our number one goal, and for us to do that, we've got to win 1, 2, or 3 more, depending on how other people do. And if we don't win all 3 of them, we probably won't host the game. We would like to host the game too, and the only chance we have is to win all 3 of them. So there's a lot of incentives out there. You never know what a bye week is going to do to how you were playing. We were playing really good at the time that we got the bye week, and if the players handle it the right way, we'll be good when we start up again on Saturday, but you never know for sure.
Yeah, the bye thing is really an interesting conversation, both in the pro ranks, I think, and the college ranks, because I wonder how much time you spend thinking as the head coach here. In the NFL, they keep records, on what the coaches' records are coming out of the bye week here. Is there a lot of analysis at your level here, how teams perform coming out of the byes?
There certainly is, because on how you handle the bye seems to determine on your success the week after the bye week, and
right.
and we haven't been real good here in the last little while. I mean, and now you can go through each one of them and you can say, well, some of them are on the road, some of them you played a really good team, some of them you hit a team that was really hot. I mean, you can analyze all that stuff, but when you're not very successful on a bye week, the game afterwards, you change a little bit what you do during the bye week. And we changed some things this year, because last year we were not successful after our 2 byes.
So what did you change?
Well, we went the whole week before. We would, they were shorter practices, but we went Monday through Thursday and gave them Friday, Saturday off, and came back on Sunday. Well, this year we basically gave them Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday off, and we practiced on Tuesday and Thursday. Now, the Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, they actually lifted weights, but they didn't come into meetings. They didn't come to practice. We practiced on a Tuesday and Thursday, and we went back at it on Monday.
Interesting. You're always trying to push those buttons there and come up with the right combination. Rocky, you told us last week one of the things heading into this game, heading into your next 3 games, Wyoming, UNLV, Nevada, I want to say off the top of my head, going from the hunters to the hunted. Have you noticed any sort of change in your players' mentality going from the hunters to now the hunted?
I think we're going to find out on Saturday. I think that when you are the hunted, you have to be ready for the other team's very best, and they're going to come out energetic, wanting to beat you, making their season worthwhile, because you're the guys that are undefeated in the league, and they've been, in this case, Wyoming's been struggling. Even though they have some very, very good players, they've been struggling, and for them to have a chance to beat the guys that are on top of the league, that's a big incentive. So we'll see how we handle that. Now, I haven't seen a big change in our players' attitude when they practice this week or when they were in the weight room. It seems like it's the same as it's been up till now. So, but you never know until you play the game.
And lastly, I mentioned this off the top. Wyoming, again, on paper, you look at it, you see it in the standings, you go, wow, 1-9, 1-5. This must be a truly rotten football team here. You as coaches, you're all programmed not really to feel that way. Tell us why in Wyoming, are they that bad, or there's something hidden in there that we're just unaware of?
Well, number one, they were missing their starting quarterback on offense. When he was in there, they have a real good success rate on offense. They gain a bunch of yards. They score some points, mostly because of him throwing the ball. But they also have a running back that's number 2 in our conference and number 10 in the nation for rushing. So on offense, they're very skilled. They have moved the ball against everybody. On defense, they have struggled some, mostly because they're playing a bunch of young guys, especially in the secondary. They play hard, they're physical, but they have made mistakes in close games that have prevented them from winning probably 4 to 5 games that come down to the last quarter. So they're plenty good enough to beat us if we don't play well. If we play well, we're going to win.
Pretty simple philosophy there. Pretty simple approach and game plan for the game. Upcoming Saturday, 7:30. You can listen to it on the Mighty 1090. Rocky, as always, it is our pleasure. Enjoy homecoming weekend, and thank you very much for the time.
Darren, I appreciate you having me on. Thanks a lot.